for this?
All right. Update Carmelo Anthony. The Carmelo Anthony family held a press conference Thursday afternoon, debunking a lot of the false, fake media news saying that they withdrew money from the fundraiser that people donated for Carmelo Anthony's defense, saying they withdrew money and they bought a Cadillac and another brand new car and they bought a brand new home. And they did not. They did not buy a Cadillac. They did not buy a brand new home. However, they did relocate and they're renting a home, but they're not using the money that was raised to rent that home. And that is for safety reasons. So here we have Dominique Alexander, who is the head of the Next Generation Action Network. They're calling him the Al Sharpton of Texas.
And he's a shyster of Texas.
I don't know, but
Chicken George. Chicken George Al.
Right. But Dominique Alexandra is, not representing the family legally, but as you could might as well say a spokesperson for the family. So he held this press conference. I want to play 2 minutes of this, and then I want to play Carmelo Anthony's mother speaking about, the situation as well.
Hello. No matter our opinion of it, we have kept our opinion close. We have not attacked. We have not shared the information that was shared with us about Austin McClaf, because we respect the dignity of life and loss. And as a minister, I would not attack a grieving family, even if I disagree with them. When I have stood before this podium for people who have died at the hands of law enforcement, I have asked for that same manner of respect. And even when the shoe is on the other foot, I will not do that. And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character. He was not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it.
What is he talking about?
Let me explain. So Austin McCaff's father showed up to the press conference. And so he's talking about how it was, you could say, disrespectful for the father to do that.
Why? Remember, that's the same thing the boy that's on trial did. He showed up at somebody else's home bench and he decided to intrude. So if he can do it, why can't this dead boy's father do the exact same thing?
And that's right. So he opened up this press conference saying that it was disrespectful. And I don't know why he opened up the press conference saying that. I don't know why Austin McCaff's father, Mr. McCaff, was there. Maybe it wasn't to be disruptive. You're talking about
again. what is the difference between what the dead boy's father did and what the defendant himself did? What's the difference in terms of initiating the problem? It was open to the public, just like the athletic field was. It was another family, it was another team. There was no invitation, an intent not to cause trouble, but discussed with him being there. So I guess they just talked about it, which shows what their son should have done instead of knifing somebody, even if they laid hands on him. See, that's the whole thing. Laid hands on. See, that's part of this thing. They better not touch my child. And when I grew up, you know, we are a better generation in terms of our behaviors, our courage and stamina and initiative, because, boy, come in here. Mr. Miller, I didn't do anything. Yes, you did, boy. I can see it in your eyes. What you do? All right, tell you what. Put your hands on your knees. Look at that wall. Don't you eyeball me. You get one. Wham! All right, now get out of here and get it off your mind. Don't even think about it. And he was dead right, because you'd go run away. Hey, man, did you tell Mr. Miller? No, I didn't say anything. Well, how did he know? Because he's been a boy himself. And he remembered. So he can tell by the look on your face. But we knew to be straight. We knew that if you got out of line, something was going to happen to you. And even when some of the students got out of line, we said, oh, man, wow.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm terrified with coming to school. It was like, oh, man, wow, this is rough.
Well, here's the thing, because, Dominique Alexander, he called the Dallas police to escort the father off the premises of the press conference. So this is where we see here, they walked him out. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't even mention that he was there.
It's a press conference. It's a track meet.
So again, to your point, Judge, because, it was a video that I uploaded when you were talking about that Carmelo Anthony was trespassing. Well, would you say that the father here was trespassing with this press conference?
Maybe. Was it by invitation only? Was the premises rented out? But I'm not talking about whether it was in fact a trespass. I'm talking about it was being treated by one party as a trespass. So in other words, the family had no more right to call the police to escort this man out than their son had the right to say, I'm going to intrude in. So if the father gets on the stand during the trial, good defense would say, hey, not a good defense, but a good prosecutor would say, hey, didn't you call the police to have the father of the victim removed? Yeah, well, why? So if you could do it, couldn't the twins have done that too? So in other words, the only thing is that the twins didn't call the police.
Well, I would say
this. Do it themselves.
Well, the difference is, and the defense could come back and say that Mr. Dominique Alexander called the authorities. He did not try to physically remove Mr. McCaff.
Remember, when this country was founded, there was no such animal as police. That wasn't invented until about 60 years later.
The prosecutor...
God have mercy upon us.
That would be a horrible rebuttal.
No, it's not a horrible rebuttal.
It is. I'm talking about in the courtroom. If they were to bring this up, if the prosecutors were to bring this incident up, the defense can also rebuttal back saying, let me just say this. The difference between the two is that one person called the authorities to remove somebody. The other two people, whether it was both brothers or one brother, took it upon themselves to be the authority.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is. You're right. It's fact.
The point is, the prosecution wouldn't set this up by introducing evidence of what he did. It's if the father takes the stand. not the dead boy's father, the father of the defendant, takes the stand to explain what's going on. If they were to put on character proof, an astute prosecutor would say, do you recall events on such and such date, which is the day this occurred? And do you recall the father of your son's victim showing up?
You're missing the point.
Now, wait a minute. And
no, just for clarity, real quick.
I'm just saying, this is how it works.
But the father has nothing to do with this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it does. If the father of the defendant testifies, which he might if they're foolish enough to get into character, all this stuff about captain of the teams and going to college with the grade point average. I mean, if the father got up and did this, the prosecution would say, well, sir, you remember these days, the events of such and such date? Did you or did you not call the police to have the father of the deceased victim removed? Is that no different than what
You're missing the point.
deceased son was doing to your child? In other words, hey, you got to leave. You don't see the difference? You see a difference? You do or don't?
Judge, you just said you had the father.
It's cross-examination.
No, Judge, what I'm saying to you for clarity, the father did not have Mr. McCaff removed.
The police came.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The father did not call the police.
Who called the police?
It was Dominique Alexander, the guy who held the...
See, but anyway, fine. I get your point. But see, this, by the way, is just an example. Were you present when this conference came about, or this press conference? Or see, this becomes an example. If there's any evidence about this press conference, and the prosecution can argue, see, this is what people do. This man wanted this father of the victim removed from the scene. He calls the police. That is much smaller in terms of intrusion than it would be when you talk about sitting on another team's bench and you're a captain of the opposition team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
You know, see, it becomes an illustration of a point. Now, I was in error. I thought what you were talking about is this is the father of the defendant called. No, this is just somebody that's got.
They're calling him the Al Sharpton of Texas.
Yeah.
He conducted the press conference. So
yeah, no, the Chicken George. Anyway.
Okay, so
it would be better for the whole country if we didn't speculate so much up front with this tabloid thing and would patiently await the outcome of the proceedings. And it certainly doesn't help anything out that the press, white and black, is trying to turn it into a race baiting moment. Because this isn't the 60s. The typical Negro is not going to go like black folk would have. And if he's trying to set up a race riot situation.
I want to play the mom's response during the press conference.
Who is the mom? This young lady?
Yeah, the mom of Carmelo Anthony. This is her.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Carmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a two-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What are your thoughts? I think that
Her son's not dead. Somebody else's son is dead. It started off
both of them.
and somebody got stabbed in the chest, and her son claims to have done it.
And that's why she's crying. She's
Well,
I think she's
cry
crying
about-
for her son and her. I mean, okay, so let me say this as a mother.
Yeah, but you know, I understand all of that, but this is unseeming. That press conference never should have been had because it's going to give a population that's probably the overwhelming majority in the area the sense that the offender is trying to play victim. And that's a very bad move because there are a lot of potential jurors that will have heard that and will be very offended by it.
So they did say, because this is 30 minutes and I'm not playing the whole 30 minutes, but at the end, they did say we will not do another press conference. We are not doing another one. We're not talking to the press, answering questions or releasing statements. They're focused on the upcoming trial, the grand jury, which whenever it comes up, the DA did say maybe in June. So they say you will not hear from us until the trial, basically. So they're being quiet. But the reason why he held this press conference, because yes, I must say, social media, YouTube, X, and even some news outlets, they have the Daily Mail and others, New York Post, have been putting out fake information about they're taking this money and buying a Cadillac. They're paying for this, even though they could do whatever they want technically with the money to a certain degree. But he was just doing a press conference to say, stop with the lies. This is serious. And just let due process take its place.
She's not on trial. Her husband's not on trial. The daughter's not on trial. They haven't done anything to break the law. This could have been accomplished much more efficiently by simply having their lawyer that they've retained issue a statement. If it was appropriate, there has been no such use of money. Next thing is, what is the point? So what if it's on social media? So what if people lie about you on social media? That is the equivalent of, they were talking about him on social media, so he was bullied online and he committed suicide. What?
God have mercy upon us.
That's awful weak. So it's one of these things. It's a newly created category of victim. They should have kept their mouth shut on this.
You're missing the point.
Because it has no impact on the outcome. Or if it looked like it did, the one that's handling the defense could have issued a quick statement. No such exchange has occurred. They have not used any money for such alleged purposes, and left it at that.
I 1000% agree with you with that one, because that was my first initial reaction to, why is this man, Dominic Alexandra, who is head of the Next Generation Action Network, why is he holding yet another press conference? He shouldn't have even held the first one last week. That was my first instinct. Shouldn't this be the lawyer and not? Why is he constantly talking? Everything
Because
the lawyer.
Speech allows him to talk, and he's making his hustle by getting notoriety or contributions that he can live off of, or if not living off of them, put into play with his project. So,
is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is. You're right. It's fact.
This
so
is
the father being there. Now, I kind of, we don't know what was going through the father's head, but if I'm going to make an assumption here, the father probably showed up because he's probably like, well, why are these people having a press conference? I want to be there to hear what they had to say. I wouldn't have called the police. I didn't even just let him stay there, because you holding this press conference, you are making it known when everything should be going through the lawyer. Everything, because yes, a child died, and the father, who is still there, his family is still grieving. I don't care what color they are. The family is still grieving. You're holding another press conference to debunk fake news, but we just elected a president that had to go through fake news for the last 8 years. So, even listen.
I know it looks. It's unseeming.
Yes.
It's a bad look, and they are not helping their son's defense.
Wait, if you were detained at any
After these messages, we'll be right back.
But they don't realize that. See, this is part of this thing. This is part of this thing that was in that article I sent you about the perpetrator becomes the victim. And it's not a good look.
And maybe that's what Dominique Alexandra is trying to manipulate, trying to do, subtle but in our faces, right? Trying to make the perpetrator look like the victim.
Mm-hmm. She's crying about her 13-year-old daughter being afraid. Well, maybe that's what the problem is. What have I been saying? Stabbing somebody in the chest, even a 2-on-1 fist fight, is a punk move. So where did he get that from? You just heard it. My poor daughter, she's scared. Is that what they taught the child, who is now no longer a child, but 17? He's a minor, but he's not a child under the law. Minors who in their teens are not children, they are minors. There's a difference. So what are you saying here?
So here's the thing here, right? Because now we have more nonsense coming out in social media. Matt Wallace, right? He posted this. This will be one of the largest protests in history. White Americans are done being pushed around. So they're supposed to be having this big rally, Protect White Americans, Justin for Austin McCaff, demand Carmelo Anthony be put back in prison until trial. Peaceful protest, April 19th, 11 a.m., Frisco, Texas, Wakefield High School parking lot. Stop Black violence on white Americans. And this is by Protect White Americans, PWAUS.com, was founded by January 6th political prisoner and U.S. Senate candidate Jake Lang. What the hell?
Hey, tit for tat. What goes around goes around. What's good for
there's no BLM going on.
Yeah, I'm just saying, free speech. That's part of the collateral consequences of having a system like ours. There are downsides to it.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Stop hitting me! What are you doing? Oh my God, why are you doing?
I told you, no, you listen. I told you to stop.
In the East, and we have come Listen. Stop. Now, Marcus.
Stop hitting me! What are you doing? Oh my God, why are you doing?
I told you, no, you listen. I told you to stop.
Marcus. Look, Marcus. Come on.
So it's America. If Black Lives Matter can do it, I guess so can White Lives Matter.
Well, you're right. They have the freedom to do it. Like, you know, what is that? Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to assemble, right?
Freedom to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievance.
But now you have Ted Cruz. See, he just won his re-election by the skin of his Cuban teeth. And he said, why the hell does someone raise $500,000 for committing a murder? ? What is he commenting for? You just won re-election by the skin of your teeth. Go sit down somewhere. So it's like you keep adding more fuel to the fire.
Ted Cruz, are you saying from Cuba or Canada?
He's Cuban by way of Canada.
Yeah, that's why he...
You serious?
Really shouldn't have been in the Republican primary in 2016 because he was not eligible for president. He was born in Canada. he is not born on American soil, even though he is an American citizen. Since he was not born on American soil, he's not eligible to be president of the United States, nor vice president, nor in line for anything that by operation of law may have the presidency devolve upon it. In other words, designated survivor. He can't be one.
Well, listen, I said this, by next week, no one's not going to be talking about this. And I hope not. Just it's due process.
Well, you know what? I was mentioning it to you earlier today. There are at least 5 cases that have occurred over the last month here in Memphis that are almost identical to this. So nobody's making a fuss about it. Why? In this political climate, why is mainstream media pouncing on this and making such a central focus for things that had already ramped up a pretty ramped up public right now?
Well,
it's not good.